Welcome back to the Foul Trouble Podcast. Today, Patrick and I are doing something no one has ever done on a basketball podcast. We're talking a little LeBron James. He just hit 40,000 career points. Let's get into foul trouble. And you know what's crazy? You know who never gets into foul trouble and maybe why he scores a lot of points?
LeBron James. What an incredible accomplishment. 40,000 points. No one has ever reached 40,000 points before, obviously, because last year he broke Kareem's all-time scoring record. Unfortunately, he did so in a loss to the all-powerful Denver Nuggets, who just will foreseeably never lose to the Lakers ever again. I don't know. Where do you want to start on? I think we're going to hit LeBron. We're going to hit LeBron's future. We're going to hit the Lakers. We're going to hit the Lakers' future. Where do you want to start?
I kind of want to start this 40,000 points because I feel like in a way LeBron breaks the scoring record last year, and it's a really cool moment. It's really awesome. They lost that game too, but I don't think people truly realize that. I honestly think this is the NBA's most untouchable record that I don't think will ever be broken.
Yeah, I mean, it will definitely be very, very difficult. I mean, there's like guys out there, like I think Luka has like maybe a shot.
So I'm going to give you some math
to hit it, but it would be very difficult. Give me the math.
So this is the thing about getting this record. The only way you can get this record is a mixture of being literally one of the greatest players ever. That's like a prerequisite. You need to basically be averaging over 25 points a game for your entire career. You need to not miss games, which in today's NBA, we're going to talk about that in a second. You need to have a team environment that supports you playing in a style that means you're going to score a lot. Because even LeBron James, you see him his last year in Cleveland, he's averaging in the high 20s. First year in LA, he's averaging a lot of points. Second year in LA, Anthony Davis gets there. His points actually go down a lot that season because teammate quality goes up. So that is a huge factor in your scoring. So I've highlighted two guys that I think, without really thinking about it, you go, okay, maybe they would have a chance. Jason Tatum, you don't really think of Tatum as a guy who misses a lot of games, right? No. An incredible scorer, can shoot, better shooter than LeBron, has a lot of things going for him. Already, Jason Tatum gets drafted into such a good team scenario, it's artificially lowering his scoring. So Tatum's career points per game is 23. Wow,
that's a lot lower
than
I would think.
Then you would think, okay, what about a Doncic? This is the same situation as LeBron.
Gotta be like kind 27,
of a GOAT-level offensive player in a bad team situation where he has free reign. So Luka actually averages 28.5 career points per game. Here's where it gets tough. This is those three players after 5 seasons. Luka Doncic after 5 seasons. 330 games played. 9,100 points. Okay. Pretty good.
Very elite, but
pretty good. Jason Tatum after 5 seasons. 365 games played. 7,640 points. Okay, so less than Luka, even though he's played 35 more games because he's just scoring way less. LeBron James, after only 5 seasons, 391 games played, 10,689 points. So after 5 seasons, he's already created a whole season's distance between him and Luka and about 2.5 seasons distance between him and Tatum. So, I mean, I think Luka's already out of the running.
Yeah, I mean, that's so crazy, especially considering the time in NBA history that LeBron was coming up, like those first 5 seasons. It was like kind of the heyday of like the rock fight era in NBA history. And just like to think that he was able to score at that pace while like actually like he did have some success near the end of that 5-year run from like a winning standpoint is just like insane.
So this is where it gets crazier. The most amount of games LeBron missed in his first, 7 years in the league where he was with the Cavs before he went to the Heat. The most games he missed in a season was 6 games.
6 games?
Sorry, let me rephrase that. 7 games.
Still 7
like 7 games. So this is what's crazy. Jason Tatum has only reached that mark twice in his career. Luka Doncic...
Has he ever?
Luka Doncic has never hit that mark in his career. Yeah. So that's the thing. These are probably the two guys I think you would think like they're gonna have good longevity given their play style. Tatum, especially the body, everything that goes into it. Seems like Tatum's going to be around for a long time.
It's like a LeBron-esque kind
of really nice bodybuilder type build. It's just he's already out of the running. Both these guys are out of the running. So I said, so who's in the running? Is there anyone in the running? So I guess theoretically, the next GOAT candidate would be a Victor Wembanyama. Yeah. So LeBron James's rookie season, he missed 3 games. He scored 1,654 points. Wembanyama's already missed 6 games, so he's already doubled the games missed. So if Wemby just doesn't miss a couple more games, he can end the season like 200 points behind LeBron. So that's
on pace around there.
But that's where it gets tough, is because to be on pace, you're already down like, because if Wemby's going to be a 30-point per game scorer next year, you're already down 6.5 games going into year 2.
And it's just not going to happen. Wemby's not scoring 30 points. I mean, maybe he is, but like
he's probably not.
So hard to score 30 points a game, just especially as a big man.
Yeah, so I really don't think this record ever has a shot of getting broken.
Yeah. No, you're probably right, to be honest. I mean, you never know with just like longevity, like stretching out the way it is. Like, how are we going to like? I don't know. I think it's much more likely that we start decreasing games per season as well at some time over the next 30 years, which will make it even more unattainable. And like, of course, science is like so crazy right now. We're seeing Tom Brady and LeBron James and all these guys do all these things, but like, how long could someone play?
I don't know. See, I was thinking about the Brady thing too, because I think what really separates LeBron from this like longevity argument is like Brady comes in, he doesn't play his like rookie year. So like in the LeBron versus Brady race, like Brady's already missing a year. Mm-hmm. Then Brady comes in, they win the Super Bowl as a team, but Brady himself is not the same guy he is like 10 years later. LeBron basically by his second year is an all NBA first team level player. So it's just like, the only guy who's really done that is Luka, who's just missing all these games. So, and it's just like, all right, you're out of the running. So like,
and plus I just don't see Luka having the kind of longevity.
I don't think he will either.
Because like, I don't know. He does play this like old man style game that like you could foresee aging well, but I think like on the defensive end, when Luka gets to be, 38 years old, like how is he moving around?
Yeah, I just don't see Luka playing as long. And that's why like Tatum was the one guy, because I was thinking, I was on a walk yesterday and I was like, okay, what's the scenario where Tatum is not, he's not like, I think the thing with LeBron, that's another discussion that's really interesting, is I feel like his whole career it was like, LeBron's the best player, but he's not the best scorer. It's like, really? Like, he's averaging like 10% better field goal than Carmelo. He's like usually like 8% or better than Kobe. He's like way more efficient than all these guys. Like, why is he not the best scorer? I've never really understood that argument.
I feel like generally that argument was always based on aesthetics more than anything. And there have been a lot of years, I would say probably most careers in LeBron's career, where like in a single season, it's like that guy's the best scorer in the league. Like James Harden is the best scorer in the league in 2017. Steph Curry is the best scorer in the league in 2016. But LeBron's always been in the conversation. And that's the other thing, is we've never really seen a guy be able to keep his name in that like 5-person short list for best player in the league over a 20-year time span. Like Kareem was not doing that at the end of his he was super effective. He was able to come through in big spots, in big playoff games in the late 80s. And this is a guy who was playing in the 1970 finals, but he wasn't, putting up 30-point games at that point.
No. So I was thinking like, so if Tatum got drafted to a different team where the team situation's really bad and he's kind of forced to score a lot more, like, I guess
maybe he could be sniffing it.
Yeah, like maybe he could be sniffing it. Tatum also, it's a little disingenuous because he's got 2 seasons here, like 1920. That's the lockout season. So he actually is on track to play like 82 that year. Mm-hmm. The following season is also a short thing. It's also a shortened season. So I kind of feel like, there will be another Tatum level player who theoretically gets drafted into the situation. But that's just kind of the question though, is like, right now, and obviously LeBron played through 2 lockout seasons. Through NBA history, lockout seasons tend to happen every 15, 18 years. Shortened seasons just tend to happen. So that's going to happen to anybody. But it's like, do you think, just as a thought experiment, if Tatum were drafted to a Charlotte Hornets?
Well, I mean, that this whole conversation
he's at least somewhat on pace.
Is basically like the Booker thing. It's like Booker had the opportunity and like honestly has had the numbers to be in this realm throughout his career, but he hasn't had the health situation that Jason Tatum had. And I think like in a situation where you're on a middling to lower tier team, nowadays there's just like there's more of like an impetus to sit out as well, like different games.
Because I was thinking about that too, because Luka had like, the 10 games last season, they basically were like, oh, Luka's injured. And he was like, I am?
Yeah,
and
just
Shea
nailed it in.
Shea too. Shea's another guy who never had a chance at this because he wasn't scoring like that as a rookie or second-year guy. But Shea has been really good for 4 years now. But, you remember 3 years ago, the Thunder were like, oh, Shea's hurt. And it was like, what? Shea's hurt?
Yeah, don't look at him. But
he has tankitis. So
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it would be incredible for someone to get on pace to be even in this discussion. It would be like, yeah, I don't know. I guess Tatum would just have to go on a Mikal Bridges Iron Man streak and probably uptick his scoring to a clear 30 point
per game, but just you have to play 76 games. I don't even then though. It's really tough because this is where it's just mind blowing because I look at Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, all of these super high level players,
generational scoring averages, scoring paces.
And
right
none
now.
of them are getting over 70 a game. This is LeBron's games per season. 79, 80, 79, 78, 75, 81, 76, 79, 62 lockout year, 76, 77. And what's crazy is the minutes, he's leading the league in minutes in multiple of these seasons.
It's that old NBA. There was still a little bit of that pride in yeah, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to lead the league in games started. I'm going to lead the league in minutes played. And it's just I don't really care. It doesn't bother me that that's not the attitude towards playing a lot anymore because, I don't know, it's your body. You're going to feel it, after it all. So, I don't blame you for taking it easy. Really, what matters is winning. And if you're contributing to that I think that's probably the end all be all. But because of that change in mindset, it will just be nearly impossible. Yeah, I was looking at all the clubs that LeBron's in. Of course, he is the founder of the 40,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, 10,000 assists club. And he is also the only member of the 30,000 blah 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 club. But I was like, who is in the discussion? Take points out of the situation. Who's in the 10,000 assists and rebounds club? It's only LeBron. Who is in the 9,000 rebounds and assists club?
Is it only LeBron?
It's only LeBron. So no one else joins the club until 8,000. And there's two guys. Can you guess who they are?
It's Westbrook.
It's Westbrook, yes, sir. And there's one more guy that we saw play. It's not Harden. More early 2000s. Into the teens.
It can't be Kobe.
It's not Kobe.
Who is this?
You're gonna kick yourself. He played on a lot of teams.
Is it an Andre Miller?
He won one championship. No, not as obscure as Andre Miller. Andre Miller does come into this further
soon
down the line.
I don't know who this is.
This is Jason Kidd.
Oh, yeah, J.K.
Yeah. 8,000. So then you go down to 7,000. Only one more guy joins the club, Oscar Robertson. And then 6,000 is where it's a little bit more inclusive. I think there's 10 guys here. It's LeBron, Kobe, Oscar, Havlicek, Westbrook, Clyde Drexler, Scottie Pippen, Magic Johnson, and Jason Kidd. But it's just I don't know, the pure mass of stats that LeBron has at this point is just so insane. And it's hard to wrap my head around it from a historical standpoint of he does have so many advantages from just a science perspective. How do I compare this to a Scottie Pippen or a Clyde Drexler who, they were just going for it at all times and they played a normal career length instead of 3 Hall of Fame career lengths.
Yeah, like right now, Kevin Durant's number 2 active. He's at 28,000 points. Like LeBron James is. We went over like how many points a lot of these top guys score over the course of 5 seasons. That means Durant is like 7 seasons behind LeBron.
Yeah,
7.
I don't think Katie's gonna catch up.
But that's crazy. Like Katie is probably gonna finish in like the low 30,000s.
And that's like
an incredible
super
career.
elite. There's 7 players who have ever scored 30,000 points. Ever.
And what's crazy about this too is this is only regular season.
Yeah.
Like when you filter in playoffs too, the gap is just so astronomically large.
huge.
It's insane.
You want to play a quick game before we pivot away from just talking about career points?
Yeah.
The game is called Who Has More Career Points? I will give you 2 players and you got to tell me who has more career points. Okay. Nikola Jokic or Karl Anthony Towns? Who
It's got to be Cat.
has more career points? I thought so too. They're actually right next to each other, 31 and 32 for active career points. Jokic is just edging him out by the smallest bit.
I'm surprised about that.
I know.
I feel like-
you don't think about Jokic. I think kind of in this similar vein to LeBron is they're so effective all around the court. You don't think of him as like this guy that's massing up a bunch of points. But you know, Jokic, he's a player.
He's pretty good.
He's a player in this
he's
league.
kind of good.
Yeah. At least from what I've heard.
Jokic is crazy too because Jokic right now is sitting at like 13,500 career points. And honestly, like Jokic is pretty much the most unstoppable offensive player in the league right now. Like it's stupidly efficient scoring, but like he has no shot at this record because he's already too old.
Yeah, no, he's way too old. Yeah, I mean, if you're a second round pick, you're just not like no matter how good you are, no fucking
Like
way.
Giannis is 11 seasons into his career and he's not even halfway.
Yeah. Well, and he was a project too. It's like you've got to be like a Wemby level guy. You've got to be a Kareem level guy. You've got to be a LeBron level guy. All 3 of these guys coming into the league, everyone was like, that's the best player I've ever seen in my entire life. Okay. Round 2. Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum. Who has more career points?
Tatum.
Incorrect.
Is Mitchell?
Donovan Mitchell. They are also right next to each other. Donovan Mitchell's edging him out by 70 points, basically.
Wow.
It's super, super close. They are going to be going back and forth on this list for like the entirety of their careers.
Yeah.
And then my last one. Which one of LeBron's famous co-stars, Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis, have more career points?
So I think they got drafted in back-to-back years.
Yes, I believe
They
you're
both
correct.
missed a lot of time. I'm going to go Kyrie.
Incorrect.
I was over 3 on this.
These guys are right next to each other as well, 12 and 13 on the active list. Anthony Davis has 17,289 and Kyrie has 16,716. I was really surprised. Like in my mind, Kyrie has played a lot more than Anthony Davis, especially like those last couple Pelicans years. He was like just a co-star.
I think the COVID years.
Yeah, but also shortened years. But yeah, I guess Kyrie is not really playing a
lot
all
basketball.
that much. Okay, so we've talked all about just kind of the absurdity of what LeBron is able to do at this point in his career. Just a kid from Akron, 20th year in the league, and let's like look at the Lakers a little bit and like. They're coming off this really disappointing loss to the Nuggets. They were up late in the 4th, and then Jokic just kind of Thanos snapped, and they were like, we're going to start playing now.
It feels like Jokic is like obligated to hit one like gravity-defying, jaw-dropping shot over Anthony Davis once a game when these teams play.
Yeah.
Like that fadeaway
absolutely.
at the buzzer was just absurd.
On LeBron's night, no doubt. And Jamal Murray looked like
He's a Laker killer.
Jamal Murray. Yeah, he just looked amazing in that game. Right now, let's see, where are the Lakers in the standings? I believe
I think they're 9th or 10th.
so they're tied with the Warriors. They're 10 games back, about a game or game and a half back of the Mavericks for the 8th spot. 2.5 games behind the Suns. What are we doing in Lakerland? What's happening?
Yeah, I mean, so they've been a lot better now that they've been starting Rui. They've been playing more like last year's team, more of an more of that kind of big ball identity. D'Lo has been playing a lot better for this team with his shooting lately, but it still feels like Ham is really holding them back.
Yeah, I mean, here's my thing about the Lakers since the trade deadline. Before the trade deadline, they were like a really, really elite defense whose offense was middling to bad, and they couldn't get it going. Now they've started playing these much smaller, they're playing a lot of guards. They're playing Rui now, who's more of an offensive-minded player, and their defense has completely fallen apart. Over the last 2 weeks, they have the 27th best defensive rating in the league. Since the trade deadline, they've had the 26th. So this has been something that's been going on for a long time now. I think we've talked a lot about on this podcast is they really have these stark differences in their personnel where they kind of have to choose either offense or defense. And to speak on their offense, they have the second best offensive rating in the league since the trade deadline. But that's just too much of a trade-off to you're going to be just as unsuccessful if you're choosing offense that starkly over defense from before. And I'm just I'm not sure, it's just they're treading uphill, and we see times where LeBron can snap his fingers in that Clippers game. He can be that guy in moments, but I don't know if they're going to be able to put themselves in situations where they can take advantage of that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Sometimes you watch them versus the Nuggets and you're this team is kind of right there. And then you see them on other nights and you're oh my God, this team is a mess. And they do kind of have that weird ability to play up to anybody or play down to anybody. I think the more I think about it, as much as I want to dunk on Ham, I think one thing they're going to need is because it doesn't almost matter how good this team is. They just can't beat the Nuggets. Mm-hmm. And they can't beat the Nuggets because against every other team except Philly, Anthony Davis can just own the paint, completely own the other team's big man, and just dominate that for the Lakers. It's kind of this huge advantage they have over every team. But when they play the Nuggets and the Sixers, who are both, I think, have not lost to the Lakers in multiple years, Davis just can't hold up one-on-one versus those huge centers. And that's this huge structural problem they have versus Denver. And it's if they could avoid Denver, maybe this team could go. But I don't think they're an avoidable team. So I guess in the offseason, they really need to find a proper bruiser big man to play next to Davis. Because, I mean, when they beat the Nuggets in the bubble, they were playing that Dwight with AD, just throwing a ton of size on the court. You're not going to stop Jokic, but it kind of seems like they need to get back to that huge bully ball identity for that one series. So I think in the offseason, get that second big, someone better than Jackson Hayes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Someone who you can play in the Denver series. I think lean fully into the size identity. Even though Rui's kind of more of an offensive leaning player, I just think the team is better when he's playing than when Prince is playing, and they're playing this jumbo lineup. I just think that's the best version of this team, especially if the backcourt's going to be Reeves and D'Lo.
Absolutely. It's just too much of you've got two pigeons on offense. You can't, even with how amazing Anthony Davis is, LeBron isn't the free safety that he used to be on defense. He just needs to preserve that for the offense. And it just it makes it's just too much on him. Looking forward, you brought in the offseason, so let's talk about that. The Lakers are in a really, really interesting place. So, of course, this is all in the prism of LeBron, but LeBron has a player option for a $51 million player option just for one more year on his contract for next year. D'Angelo Russell also has an $18 million player option. You got to imagine that he's picking that up. And then their smaller contract guys, Christian Wood, Jackson Hayes, Cam Reddish, they all also have player options, which, I mean, none of those guys, I think those guys might be out of the league if they don't pick up those options. So that brings the Lakers cap situation basically they're over the cap and they're about $10 million away from the second apron, which is a place that I feel like the Lakers cannot be. They cannot place themselves there because that takes away the ability to aggregate contracts. That takes away the ability to use any exceptions when signing free agents. So I'm like, if all these guys opt in, they also will need to re-sign Max Christie. I'm assuming that's someone that he's a restricted free agent this summer. He might be a really tough guy to retain just because of their cap situation. But I'm just like, I don't know. I'm struggling to see like the clear and obvious ways that they can improve on the margins.
Yeah, I mean, so with that second apron, they can't do any mid-level exceptions or anything like that?
No. If you're in the second apron, you lose your ability to, here it is. You cannot aggregate contracts for a trade. So putting together contracts, you cannot send out cash in a trade, use trade exceptions from prior years, or take back more incoming salary than outgoing. And then I believe the last one is you don't get any free agency exceptions either, which is just like, I mean, obviously I'm a Suns fan, so I'm going to feel some way about the second apron, but like the way I think we're going to end up looking back at this like cap or this CBA and just thinking that the NBA totally fucked themselves.
Oh yeah, no, it's really
because
stupid.
Like when the NBA has been super, super popular in the past, it's because there's these teams that are just like amazing. They are stacked with talent. And like, you know what? They always end up losing these teams. Like, I think the Warriors with KD is like one great, like just outlier that you can't even factor in. I think making the cap jump like that is like, it was really stupid at the time, but you are going to put all of your big market teams, the Lakers, the Clippers, the Warriors, in places where they're just like, it's going to be so hard for them to bounce back from this just like sudden change. We didn't know any of this was going to be like that. These teams have been planning from years out to build their roster in this way. And then it's just like, oh, actually, like, you are fucked. There's no way you're going to be able to like improve your team at all going forward. And I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, just to touch into that, salary cap 136 million this year, luxury tax 165, first apron 172, second apron 182. There's a $10 million gap between the first apron and the second apron, which is like, obviously that's a ton of money. I think anyone in this room would be happy to get $10 million, but like Rui Hachimura makes $17 million a season next year. Like that Rui alone just kind of. And it's like, Rui's kind of an important player. I don't think teams should be punished for bringing guys back like that. But I guess my thing with the Lakers is I don't know if I'm naive and I'm just a little sipping on the hopium and the copium and watching LeBron do his thing against the Clippers, and Anthony Davis has been playing so well. But I do kind of feel like just if they can bring in another big, play better lineups, hope to get enough improvement from Christie, maybe hope to get. See, that's where it's tough because you're really banking on Christie improving. Mm-hmm. But like, and
I
hoping
think about
LeBron,
Christie, he's exactly what they already have.
Yeah, but he's not bad though. And then hoping LeBron really doesn't decline enough, hoping you get something from Gabe Vincent. I think this team could still be good.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could be better than this year. They are overperforming technically on their like expected wins for this year. So like, I don't know, you can take that anyway. It's not a perfect stat. But with everything that we're talking about, and we started off with LeBron. I want to keep this LeBron-centric through line. With that $50 million player option, what are you doing if you're LeBron? Are you picking that up? Are you declining that?
So the thing is, apparently LeBron's trying to get a multi-year extension, like at like what, 60 per season, I think is what's being reported.
Yeah, I think the Lakers could
if he's trying to sign a 2-year deal at 60 per, like that's what he's going to do. Because the thing with the Lakers is they can't not do that
Yeah,
because the weird thing about the NBA salary cap is you can't go over the cap signing an unrestricted free agent. You can't go over the cap signing another team's restricted free agent. You can't go over the cap trading for players. You can only go over the cap from re-signing your players. So if you don't re-sign LeBron, you effectively lose this salary cap slot that is tradable.
We talked about this a lot with the Warriors and like their Klay Thompson and Chris Paul stuff.
So you have to re-sign him. You have no choice if you're the Lakers. And if you're not going to re-sign him, then like, what is this team? Because Anthony Davis, I think, is still a building block. He's only 30, but like, you need a better running mate than Reeves. You have to go find your now 1A perimeter player again if you don't have LeBron. And what's scary is like LeBron is still freaking awesome, but you even see it in that Clipper game where he's taking over and he's like forcing the switch on Harden. He's forcing the switch on Tice. And it's like, he still can blow by Tice. He can still get into the paint versus Harden, but it's not as elegant. It's not as fast. It's kind of a little bit more rough on the edges than it used to be.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, if he loses another quarter step next year, like that ability he has to isolate onto bad defenders is going to keep diminishing. It seems like the one downside of this whole Austin Reeves playing well and D'Lo at times playing well is I kind of feel like, do you feel like LeBron as a passer has stepped back a little bit since that season he played as center? I feel like I don't see him running.
They
like,
just don't ask him to do the same stuff.
It kind of feels like they need to almost find a way to reorient the team back toward getting LeBron involved as a passer more like they did their championship year.
And that's my whole hold up with this whole roster construction is like, you can't get what you need out of Austin Reeves and D'Lo if they don't have the ball, and you really can't afford to give them the ball because you need LeBron to have the ball to make your ceiling just go way higher. But at the same time, your floor drops super low if Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell just have their thumbs up their ass without the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the one thing I'm optimistic about with better coaching is I think D'Lo at the least this season has shown he can be a pretty good off the ball player. He can move around without the ball, off the ball. In that Clipper game, he had a really nice no dip 3-point catch and shoot, which like that's pretty good shooting. Like I think I might be just naive, but I really think this team could be a lot better if they had a better coach.
Yeah, it's just like
they
such
brought
a
in
big
Spencer,
if.
They brought in Spencer Dinwiddie, who's not a great shooter, and like his role on this team is stand in the corner. It's like that's not Spencer Dinwiddie's strength. Why are you even going to play him if you're going to play him suboptimally?
I mean, that's my whole thing. They don't need Spencer Dinwiddie. They have a million Spencer Dinwiddies already.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely don't think this team is going to be like one of the 3 or 4 or 5 favorites coming into the West next year. That's for sure. I would definitely have them behind OKC, behind Denver, behind probably the Clippers again, probably behind like maybe even a Dallas, maybe even a Phoenix, depending on what the Phoenix Suns look like. It's tough. It's going to be really tough next year.
Yeah. So for the offseason, so I think LeBron kind of, I don't see him going anywhere.
I don't either.
Like, I guess he could go to Philly. That's the one option that he has. That's like, I guess his leverage point of like, if the Lakers aren't down to give him the extension that he wants, the Sixers have the cap space. It's a pretty big market. They have Joel Embiid. They have Tyrese Maxey, who I think is a clutch guy. So he could go to Philly, which would be cool. I don't think it's going to happen. So I think he probably opts in and extends. And then it kind of comes down to draft night for the Lakers. I don't really see the Lakers making much noise if even getting to the playoffs. So they're probably going to have like a pick either at the very end of the lottery or at the very like just out of the lottery. The Pelicans have the option to either take their pick this year or defer to next year. I think that's an obvious deferment to next year because you have LeBron James in season 21. And I think it's just a pretty good bet that they're going to be. It's a good gamble to take that they'll be either worse or just the same next year.
And next year's draft is going to be better.
And next year's draft is going to get better. So the Lakers will be able to trade their pick on draft night, and they'll be able to trade the 2029 pick. And then I guess they foreseeably could trade like Austin Reeves or Rui Hachimura if there was a big fish out there that they wanted to get, or if they just wanted to do a trade for more depth, less, I don't know, even though they would be trading depth for depth at that point.
Well, I think they do need to exchange the depth a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely am with you that they got to kind of change it up.
If Christie really does come into his own, then it's like, okay, we really need to upgrade the front line, and Gabe Vincent's our prime frontline upgrade piece.
Yeah, you can also trade Gabe Vincent, who, I mean, I don't think you could get
0.
lower on the stock price of Gabe Vincent, but
yeah, that's the other thing too, is it's really fun to be like, well, they could trade Gabe Vincent, and it's like, what other 29 teams are like, you know who we want? $10 million of Gabe Vincent, who played 3 games and looked like trash in all 3 of them.
yeah, it's like, I'll take your first round pick if you want to give me Gabe Vincent, but yeah, and it's like, you don't really want to trade Austin Reeves, like, you don't really want to trade Rui Hachimura. I don't think you can trade D'Angelo Russell at the draft because he will still not reach his option day yet. So it's just, yeah, it's kind of tough.
It's kind of tough. So, I mean, hopefully LeBron plays on some competitive teams to end his career, but the pathway for the Lakers is really murky.
Yeah, it's super murky. And then there's, I don't know, do you want to talk about any of the Bronny stuff? There's been like Bronny stuff in
I think Bronny's going to have to go back to school next year.
In the news. Yeah, they the big clutch drop recently about Bronny and LeBron is that LeBron is just hoping Bronny lands on the same NBA roster as him organically. Which, like, what does that even mean?
It just seems like LeBron's relationship with the Lakers front office is a little more adversarial as this, like, Darvin Ham saga has gone on and, like, the whole Westbrook saga went on. And it just feels like they're not going to just throw a second-round pick at Bronny. But I don't know. I mean, maybe. I guess if there's one team to just do that, like, the Lakers would be that team.
I mean, I guess the other thing with LeBron is that like a opt-in and trade and extend is a possibility. Like we discussed the Knicks element of everything. We discussed the Warriors' rumored interest in him. So like that also is a possibility this offseason because I agree with you. The like Bus family clutch ownership of the Lakers has been really weird and seems like they have like these like little secret cheap shots like more and more left and right.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Lakers are like unironically like Jeannie is like one of those like diehard Kobe fanboys and she can't accept that like LeBron is good for her team. Like I don't know. Like her relationship with LeBron has always been a little weird. Like
yeah, I mean, I get it, and at the same time, I feel like because it's like you did kind of fuck us with the whole Russell Westbrook thing. You fucked us, and I don't know. I think we maybe overperformed a little bit, hit really great matchups last year. That makes it a lot more palatable. But you know, like what happens if they?
Yeah, I was
don't
thinking
get to
like
the Western
this
Conference
team,
Finals last year.
You go back to like they just won the bubble championship. The roster has like KCP, who's at a great age. Kuzma is young and is like a great supporting player for this team. Caruso is an awesome, great young supporting player for this team. LeBron and Davis look great. The next year they kind of like fudge up that whole championship core, but low key, like the team they built is really, really good.
The 21
team Lakers
was really good.
Really probably could have gone back to back if they had stayed healthy, if Davis and LeBron don't get hurt. And then the Westbrook trade just destroys this really well built roster.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's and a
that's
crazy
why she's
fumble.
Upset. That's why.
But also, it's the GM's job to say no to the players.
Yes, I am so with you there.
Like
I am
it's
so
Rob.
with you
Like
there.
at the end of the day, if LeBron pouts, but they put a good team around him, he's gonna stop pouting. Like you can't make that Westbrook trade.
No,
like it was so obviously bad in the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it just like went away from everything, all the success that you had. And for really no reason. That Suns Lakers series was super close. Like, I mean, you can argue in circles all day, but like at the end of the day, you lost to the team that went to the finals. And like it was a really close series and you didn't have AD in the last 2 games.
Yeah, and LeBron's playing on a high ankle sprain.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Lakers.
So now the rest of the Lakers schedule this month, OKC,
tough.
Sacramento, who they just weirdly
Who
have their
Sabonis
number.
owns AD. We talked about that a long time ago.
Milwaukee,
Tough.
Minnesota,
Tough.
Sacramento again,
Tough.
Golden State,
Tough.
Atlanta, which
W.
Philly late in the month. You might see Embiid back.
Probably a W there.
But probably a W, but hey, we just watched.
Maxey just take over versus Mavs.
Yeah, Philly beat the Mavs. Indiana, which is like not a walk through the park. Milwaukee again.
Tough.
Memphis, Indiana again, Brooklyn. Like,
not a fun month for the Lakers.
not a fun month, and this is kind of the last month. There's a couple weeks after that, but
yeah, this is gonna be something. I mean, it's really fun watching LeBron break the records. I mean, AD joked like they can't win a game where he breaks the record, but like.
Yeah.
It does suck that we're seeing either the best or second best player of all time, depending on your view on it, like swung, like kind of elderly
his swan
years, where he's
song.
still good enough to be a meaningful piece of a title team, just kind of be wasted away on these teams.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to. I don't like. He's still playing in important games. He's still playing well. This is what happens.
Yeah.
Generally, like look at the end of Kobe's career. I bet Kobe would have signed up for LeBron's last couple of years to be his like kind of second final act. But I don't know. I still feel like there's a surprise somewhere in the LeBron James
Saga.
story.
Like some crazy trade.
Left and right, like when he first left the Cavs, like it was a time where we just like never imagined any superstar of that ilk to jump ship. And especially in the way that he jump shipped. And then the whole Heatles era. And then he goes back. And then he does his whole thing. And now he's in LA. I don't know. I feel like there's one more
plot twist.
And whether that's like getting a star that we would have never imagined him being able to play with.
Anthony Edwards.
No, Max, don't worry. He's there for a long time. Trae Young. You ready for the Trae Young?
If they trade for Trae Young
experience.
If they trade for Trae Young, I think LeBron should retire. Full stop. He should retire.
I think they might.
He should retire.
I think they might trade for Trae Young.
I think Anthony Davis should retire too.
No, Anthony Davis will eat.
Yeah, he'll eat when he gets the ball once a game.
Trae Young and Anthony Davis are like the yin and yang symbols. Like they just like fit each other perfectly. I don't know that they'll necessarily win together, but I don't know.
You know how Lakers
ceiling.
Nuggets games right now are like scrappy, and the Lakers always look like they have that glimmer of hope before the Nuggets snatch it away? It'd be like that if the Lakers never had a glimmer of hope in any game because Trae Young is playing against the Denver Nuggets.
The one thing about Trae Young, that guy plays well in the playoffs. Every time he's in the playoffs, he plays well. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Well, except when he plays the Heat, but that's neither here nor there.
You know. When he's playing against the Celtics.
Yeah, he's playing against the Celtics.
Or the Sixers.
Okay, so before we get to best take, worst take this week, I thought it'd be fun if we did a LeBron James buckets draft. You know, your favorite LeBron James makes, scores of his career. Could be playoffs or regular season, even though we're celebrating the regular season today. So, Patrick, do you want the first pick or do you want the second pick?
I will take the first pick. And I think for my first pick, I want to go with his it was a series closer against the Pacers, right?
Are you talking about in 2012 or 17,
2017.
18. I don't think that won them the series, but it was a game
winner.
winner.
But the game winner in the playoffs, you know what I'm talking about. That was just like an absolutely sick, nasty shot.
We'll see, Patrick. I feel like that shot was a throwback to arguably his most iconic buzzer beater a decade earlier. Against the Orlando Magic, game one of that series against the Orlando Magic in the conference finals. LeBron James hits the 3-point at the top of the key off the inbound. It's the one where Marv Albert goes, "Here's James for the win!"
Yes,
and it pans out, and all of Cleveland is going absolutely nuts. I think it's one of the most iconic playoff game winners of all time.
Yeah, Stan Van Gundy has really, really funny quotes about how he wasn't even like cognizant of like what was even going on at the moment. It's really hard to like narrow down LeBron James shots because I just think like we've talked about this whole podcast, his like overall control of the game is always like just so intense that it's like you think back to like when he took over against the Pistons, like it was just like
25 straight points.
An entire quarter of shots is what I want to say. You think about like the Mean Mug game against the Celtics in the
It's just a
Eastern
barrage
Conference
of make
Finals.
after make after make.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll go with something that we bring up all the time, but probably my favorite LeBron James play ever, and that's just the dunk over Jason Terry. Like,
oh yeah, the dunk over Terry.
It's
I
just
feel like that might be the most
so iconic. It's like I think it's so just indicative of what LeBron James was in his prime, and it was like an unstoppable force from the perimeter, like the likes of which we really haven't seen, of just like the force he could play with. So I'll go with that one.
So this one is, I think, maybe one of the greatest regular season buzzer beaters of all time, and I feel like it's not lost time, but it's never talked about. But I really feel like the full court catch, fadeaway out of bounds, banked in game tying 3 versus the Wizards.
Yes.
He catches a full court pass from Kevin Love at the 3-point line. He does a post fadeaway from the 3-point line. He fades out of bounds and banks in the shot to go to overtime in a game they end up winning. Absolutely just absurd, acrobatic, heroics. Honestly, even though they didn't win the title that year, I think his most iconic season, which is his very last year in Cleveland, because that's the same year we have that fadeaway over Jimmy Butler game winner. We have that Pacers one you already talked about. The Toronto one. Just like he's hitting game winners left and right. It's just, I think it's his best season personally, but
yeah, I mean that I don't know. 2012 was
pretty freaking good.
Pretty freaking insane. And I think my last one, I'm gonna go with just like an obviously underrated shot that contributed to one of the most iconic plays in NBA history. And that was the 3 that he hit, I think the possession before the Ray Allen 3 to basically extend the finals against the Spurs and go on to win that championship. Because I also think that's just like so LeBron is like, he's the kind of player that has always just like done the little things throughout a season, throughout a series, throughout a game to put his teammates in position to hit big shots. He is the one that is always like, he got so much flack from Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith over his career for being a guy that isn't taking the big shots. But you know what? Like, every shot is worth the same. And if you're making constantly great decisions, you're going to put your team, which this is a team sport, in the position to win. And so I think that 3 is such a big 3 to hit. It was crucial in Miami winning that championship. And I think it's just a really underrated moment in his career.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard to do like a top 6 draft of LeBron buckets because there are literally just so many, like the dunk over Garnett, the actual, game clincher against the Spurs, where he comes off that screen. He has that step back game winner versus the Warriors. He's got, he actually has that game winner 3 over Curry in the play-in game. Like,
yes, oh my God, that's an amazing play.
Where he hits Steph with a deep 3 to beat him. But one bucket as a Heat fan that like always sticks out to me, and it's weird to me that no one ever talks about this as like an iconic LeBron moment, because I truly feel like it is, and I think it's because we won the series so handedly against the Thunder. But either game 2 or game 3, LeBron has cramps, and he gets subbed out at like the end of the game versus the Thunder. And the Thunder are starting to go on this like mini run. They might take the game back. LeBron James subs back in, literally limping because he has a cramp, and hits a 3 that basically wins the Heat the game. And they go on to win the game, win the series. He wins his first championship. But like literally just scoring while physically can't move against like Kevin Durant and, this crazy young team that, by the way, the Heat were favored to not win that series. Like, iconic to me.
Nobody
LeBron
talks
bucket.
about that. Nobody talks about how the Thunder were favored to win that series against the Heat. That's such a great play. How many are we doing?
Well, we did 3 each, but I'm down to go to 5.
Okay.
Was that shot over Curry the one where Draymond had just poked him in the eye?
I don't know if he had just poked him in the eye, but
What was the shot where he was like, he claimed he was seeing 3 rims because he had just got poked in the eye by Draymond?
That was recent.
That was the play-in. That was the play-in
Yeah.
shot over Curry. Yeah, you are totally right about that.
That was a pretty iconic, like, hero LeBron moment, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. I mean, I feel like there is some low-hanging fruit here. I will go with just the post-up or elbow shot that made him the career points leader, just because, like, that's probably never going to happen, at least in our lifetime again, seeing somebody, like, just finish that climb to the summit, becoming the all-time points leader. It's like, obviously they lost that game, and there's a lot like that was buzzing around that game. Like, it was like a week before they blew up their entire roster, which ended up getting them to a Western Conference Finals. Just feel like it needs to be said in this conversation.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the LeBronto game winner, the full court runner, 1 foot off the glass from the wrong hand, wrong side. Just a shot where you just see the score and you're like, why do I just know? Like, I just know he's going to score, and he hits like the most ridiculous shot to win the game. And like, I don't know, just that whole series, I feel like is maybe like peak LeBron, that LeBronto series.
Oh yeah, I mean, he didn't have Kyrie that playoffs, and I think everyone was kind of expecting if he's gonna show a little mortality, it was in that playoff run, and he did not show any mortality at all. He was an absolute superhero the whole entire run. And like, especially ending in that amazing game 1 against the Warriors, the J.R. Smith game.
I have a spoiler. My next bucket's also from that season. We've drafted a lot of buckets from that season.
I mean, yeah, that run was
iconic.
incredible. It's when I think about LeBron plays, the first plays that come to my head aren't even buckets. It's like, of course, the block is
the block is the most iconic play.
The most iconic play in LeBron James's career. Just like the hustle to get down there, full court, game 7, fourth quarter, doesn't get any bigger than that, and to like come through like that was just absolutely incredible. Some of the passes he's made over the course of his career. One personal one that I love is I don't know if you know, like the no look when he's on the Lakers. Just like he's looking this way and he just has his arm fully extended.
Oh, I think you're thinking about the year before he joins the Lakers.
It was
he
against
fakes
the
out
Lakers.
The entire Lakers team.
Yes.
Just gets somebody wide open. Yes, no, I was thinking of that exact pass.
Such that's one of my favorite passes ever. Jeez, I gotta pick one more, and I can't think of one.
There's so many posters to choose from.
Yeah,
so many big shots. I'll give mine.
Give me yours.
I think you talked about like the Terry play being like really emblematic of his whole career, but I think this play actually is like super emblematic of his whole career. It's Game 7, 2018 versus the Boston Celtics. The Cavs are kind of pulling away. LeBron gets the ball in the fast break. One of the Morris twins just full bear hugs him to prevent the layup, and LeBron just powers through, gets the layup to go anyway. He's screaming into the crowd. He's like mean mugging the crowd. He's flexing, and it like the whole Celtics team just looks exhausted. And it's like, this guy is playing on a team with no Kyrie Irving. Like, it's just him out there, him and Love, and like a pretty decent role playing cast, but like really not as good as any of the teams they faced in the playoffs up to that point. And it's just this inevitability of like, this guy's going to be full tilt 48 minutes. He's unstoppable. Yeah, just.
I think the last one, if I'm like completing my collection of like LeBron shots that I think like are really iconic, make up his career, there's no more like LeBron James play, in my opinion, than like the classic tomahawk dunk that's almost like side cocked, that he's done a million times. And the one that comes to my head, it may be a little bit simpler, but the one that always comes to my head is that was his first bucket. A steal against the Kings.
No, his first bucket was mid-range. One of his
I don't know,
first, yeah,
one of his first buckets. There, you know which one I'm
I
talking
feel
about.
like though his most iconic tomahawk is the one where he goes up and he no looks it because he's looking at Michael Jordan.
Oh, that is an
Because
iconic
that was
one.
like kind of the Heat era where I feel like LeBron to me had been the best player in the NBA for probably 5 or 6 years at that point in the mid 2000s. But like I feel like is when he won that first chip with the Heat and they're like on this 27 game win streak is when people really started to take that a lot more seriously. And like when he no look dunked it while staring at Jordan, that was just iconic.
Yeah, I was trying to think of that. Like he did have that like 60-point game against
the Hornets.
the Bobcats
then
at the time, I
yeah.
think. And that was not the worst Bobcats roster. I think that was the Al Jefferson era. But yeah, I mean, you can talk about
One of the
LeBron
greatest
James
ever.
plays forever. Both a guy that like I think really greatly influenced like my love for the NBA and my watching of basketball as well as yours, James.
Yeah.
I think just like while he's here, while he's still playing at this level, just catch some Lakers games. You know, if you have the opportunity to see him, go see him. Like he's not coming back when he leaves.
Yeah.
So yeah, just enjoy it. Enjoy it while it's here.
Yeah. All right. Should we get to best take, worst take?
Let's get to best take, worst take.
Okay, so this is gonna be a fun week for best take, worst take. So every week, Patrick and I decide we bring our best takes and our worst takes from around the NBA media landscape. We choose who is the worst take of the week, and then we choose who the worst take of the month is. Patrick, do you have a best take?
I do have a best take. My best take this week goes to Jaylen Brown, who tweeted a quote of Steve Kerr discussing letting Jaylen Brown just shoot in the first quarter of the absolute drumming of the Warriors by the Celtics yesterday. Steve Kerr said, you just try things. You have to pick your matchups on sagging off Jaylen Brown. And Jaylen Brown said, more teams should take this strategy, which I think is funny because it's just like inexcusable to leave Jaylen Brown open like that.
So I'm on a plane. I had just watched the Sixers upset the Mavs. I've got like 15 minutes left. I'm doing the live TV feature on my plane, and it's like Celtics at Warriors. And the game starts, and like the first possession, Celtics win the tip. Like the ball bounces to Drew. Drew pings it to Jaylen. Jaylen is so wide open that he's like, are you guys... Did someone forget that they're guarding me this game?
You know, he doesn't shoot with his left hand.
Like, he's like, but yeah, like, I feel like on this pod, me especially has kind of dunked on Jaylen a lot, but like, Jaylen Brown's an amazing player, and like,
all-star.
Like if I'm the
fringe
Celtics,
All-NBA.
if I'm the Celtics and the other team is like, here, Jaylen Brown, have a wide open three. I'm going to let Jaylen Brown shoot 100 threes, and maybe we'll score like 180, 200 points. Like, what? This is not a real strategy.
No, I mean, it's not a serious one. I don't know how you come to the conclusion that that is what you should do. I guess they were just trying to play mind games with Jaylen Brown, but like, is this the time to do that when you are literally on the edge of being in the bottom playing game? You're climbing up. You're probably not gonna win this game against the Celtics, but like, I don't think you're setting your team up for success, Steve Kerr or whoever's call it was. I don't know if it was like Draymond's idea. I know he's talked a lot on his podcast about like the Warriors really got into like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown's head in the finals 2 years ago or what. But like, these are different guys from 2 years ago.
I've been guilty of saying that, but like, yeah, like if there's one way to make it so you lose that mental edge, it's give Jaylen Brown all the confidence in the world.
Yeah, just let him freaking have like a 3-point contest practice shot. They should have just put a rack next to him.
Like the next possession down, the second possession of the game, they get Jaylen Brown on a post up for Steph, and it's like, what are we doing? Like, obviously Jaylen Brown is like, no one's gonna help. Like Jaylen Brown is way stronger than Stephen Curry. Like in the paint is where Brown thrives.
Yeah, but
I think the thing about Brown too is like he's not the best ball handler with his left hand. He's not bad at finishing though with his left hand, actually, surprisingly. So like,
doesn't have to handle the ball at all when you're wide open.
You don't want to let that guy just going one-on-one. I don't know. That was oddly disrespectful to a player who is now a multiple-time All-Star, really good player. Actually, in the finals versus the Warriors was kind of the one guy who seemed not to let down as much at times too.
Yeah, I mean, he's only shooting 35% from three, but like, I bet he's shooting a lot better than that on open threes.
Yeah, I bet a lot of that is because of ill-advised shots. But all right, my best take is also going to go to something from that game, and it's Joe Mazzulla.
Okay.
Another guy I've dunked on a lot. They asked Mazzulla like why he played his starters to begin the third quarter in a game where they were up by 50 points at halftime, and he said, "I want to condition this team to keep the mental edge of keeping your foot on the gas no matter what the score is." So after they went up 17-10 in the third, he subbed out his starters. And you know what? I think that's a W for Mazzulla. I think that's smart, letting them know like, hey, this is a situation where you really need to hone in the mental edge, especially for our team. And I think good take by Joe.
Yeah.
Don't overplay him. Just a good smart take by Joe Maz.
You don't have to. Like I was talking about last week, the Celtics have real depth, especially like regular season depth and guys that are not going to make a lot of mistakes. Peyton Pritchard is like a super steady hand. Sam Hauser would start on like almost any team in the league, in my opinion, other than the Celtics, just because of the wings that they have. So like if you got guys like that, depend on them. You don't need any of these guys getting injured.
Okay, worst take. I think we have the same worst take.
We do have the same worst
This
take.
is a colossally bad take. This is an instant contender for worst take of the year. It sucks that this is the first bad take of the month because this is a contender. I would be
Everyone's
shocked.
playing for second place.
I would be shocked if anything.
Earlier in the season, when we were kind of struggling to find bad takes, we were saying like, just wait. We'll get deeper into the season. People will start paying more attention and we'll find really bad takes. And boy, did we this week. Do you want to tell them what our worst take of the week is?
Gil Arenas, get rid of all Europeans. You go to college to learn defense. What college do Europeans go to? They have no athleticism. They have no speed. They have no jumping ability. They are a liability on defense. There are 150 Euros in the league today. Name the top defenders. None. Just Rudy and the Greek Freak. Other than that, they're offensive players. So I love how he says, name the top defenders. None. Immediately realizes
the two best defenders of the last 25 years.
Like,
I mean, maybe not best, but like right there. Like guys that are going to be in the Hall of Fame primarily because of their defense.
Well, Giannis overall, but yeah, like I don't know, like it's just such a flagrantly bad take.
Let me ask you something. Who's the worst defender in the league?
An American named Trae Young.
Yeah, exactly. And like you can just name so many guys that are American that are just as bad. Honestly, just super xenophobic take by Gilbert Arenas. I'm not gonna just play around there. Like totally irresponsible, totally off base, totally just like tone deaf. Like
well, also, I think we're forgetting about a guy arguably just as good as a defensive player as the two guys we named, Marc Gasol.
Marc Gasol, yes. I mean, what about the next generation of defensive big men?
Victor Wembanyama.
Victor Wembanyama, who is just absolutely incredible. Not to mention, what's one of the best defenses in the league? The Boston Celtics, who are behind Kristaps Porzingis, who is the absolute linchpin of their defense, who is European.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, to Gil's credit, we haven't thought of a perimeter player yet.
Yeah.
I mean, Ricky Rubio was a pretty decent defender.
Yeah, Ricky Rubio wasn't bad. I mean, it's hard to... I mean, Manu Ginobili was a pretty good defender. A great defender.
He had that iconic block on Harden against them in the playoffs. The year they upset the Rockets.
But I don't know. Defense is not contained by nationality. The idea that it is just dumbfounding.
It's such a stupid take, but I think what I love about this take is at the end of it, he realizes how wrong he is, but he had already publicly spewed the first three sentences, so he can't take it back.
Yeah.
I love name the top defenders. None. Oh, well, Rudy Gobert, Giannis, shit.
Yeah, I mean, there are guys Exum's pretty good. I guess he's not European. He's Australian. Ben Simmons, he's Australian.
A defensive player level, the perimeter defender.
Yeah, but I bet he would loop in the Aussies.
The Aussies. He doesn't.
European pool. But yeah, just a terrible, terrible, terrible take.
This take is so flagrantly bad
Yeah.
that I'm a little worried he's kind of killed the segment for the year. Like, this is not going to get topped.
Yeah, I mean, he's lucky we didn't push the Miles Bridges from Draymond Green take through last best take of the month, because I think that is right there. But yeah, just terrible take, super xenophobic.
I love what college do Europeans go to? Like,
Yeah.
does he think that they don't
actually
go to college?
They don't go to college for basketball. They play professionally against grown men.
You know, on the topic of guys never getting their ass busted,
Oh yeah.
you know who? I think Luka Doncic would bust Gilbert's ass one-on-one.
No question.
Yeah, no question.
I think if Luka gets the ball back, Gilbert is not scoring, and I guess a good offense is a good defense. In one-on-one.
There you go.
I would say Luka probably plays better defense than
Gilbert does.
Gilbert does because Luka's gigantic.
Oh my god! All right, so this is the worst take because me and you brought the same worst take. I mean, I guess can we give Steve Kerr worst take? Just an honorary worst take? Just we already talked about it a lot, but Steve Kerr's take of don't defend Jaylen Brown.
It is a really bad take. It is a really bad take, and one of the first on the court bad takes that we've ever even discussed.
Wait, so we're giving it to Kerr because
No, we're giving it to.
No.
We're giving. We just need. It has to beat something.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
It's overcoming Steve Kerr's just on the court strategy take.
Okay.
Which most weeks would be a winner.
Yeah, I think it would definitely be in contention. There would be a big conversation there. But yeah, just Gilbert Arenas being just openly idiotic.
All right.
It takes the cake.
Gilbert Arenas, you are the worst take. Thank you guys for listening to the Foul Trouble podcast. We will catch you guys on Thursday. Sorry, I'm losing my voice here at the end, laughing at
We're having
Gilbert
too much
Arenas.
fun.
Had a lot of fun today talking about my favorite player ever, LeBron James. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed watching him hit. I'm breaking 40,000 points. See you guys on Thursday.